Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rhino Room. Would you please make some noise for Mr. Justin Hamilton?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Not rehearsed at all. I loved it. You guys were great. It's fantastic. Thank you very much for coming along to tonight's performance of Little Victories. This is actually my first solo show since 2019, and I just wish something had happened in that time. You know what I mean? Like nothing's happened, so it's just going to be me staring awkwardly for 45 minutes thinking, fuck, I wish I could talk about something. No, so much happened. I'm now in my 50s, and hold your applause, and it's quite interesting because I have a theory about when you get older, you become more the person that you're meant to be. So if there's parts of you that you don't like, you better work on them, because if you don't work on them, they're going to be the really shit parts of you when you get older. So I worked on me. That's what I did. So when I hit my 50s, I felt good intellectually. I felt good emotionally. I felt like I was on top of things physically. And then as soon as I turned 50, all these high-profile men in their 50s started having heart attacks and dropping dead. It's true. Like Shane Warne, heart attack, dead. Taylor Hawkins, heart attack, dead. A BBC radio announcer had a heart attack on air and died. Let me say that again. A BBC radio announcer had a heart attack on air and died. Do you know how little energy a BBC radio announcer gives off? That poor bastard was in the studio going, and coming up later today, we'll have Gladys coming into the studio, and she'll be talking to us about how to get rid of the aphids in our garden, and then he was fucking gone. And I don't want to die because there's sandwiches I haven't eaten yet, right? So now, to stay alive as long as I possibly can, I've cut running out of my diet. I refuse to run. I just refuse. I just won't run. It's true. I missed the train in Sydney. I was here, the train was there. I just had to run that, and I thought, fuck it, God be with you. And I let that train go. Because I'd rather still be at the train station furious that I missed the train, but feel good about feeling furious because I'm alive, than running and catching the train and feeling good about catching the train, but I don't know it because I'm fucking dead. So much has been going on. As you get older, I keep getting memory dreams. Did you ever get that? And once upon a time, my dreams were just weird, but now they're memory dreams, and they're never good memories. Like, none of them. Like, they are things that I have repressed to save myself emotionally, and my subconscious just brings them up. Like, they're never, like, you never wake up and go, oh, that was a good sandwich that I ate. Like, it's never anything like that, right? These are the three worst memory dreams I've had. First one was years ago when I was living in Melbourne. My flatmate and I had been invited to a wedding, and I just started seeing someone at the time, so she was coming with me. My mate's partner was coming along. We went to the wedding, and it was great. But while we were at the wedding, some arsehole had brought a +1 that shouldn't have brought a +1. It's a fucking wedding. Like, you've paid for all the seats, you've paid for all the meals, and it was really awkward, and we were sitting there trying to work out, I reckon it's that arsehole, I reckon it's that arsehole. It was a really good game all day. Even spoke to the groom saying, who do you think the arsehole is that brought the +1? They go, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, funny stuff, right? And then a couple of months later, the wedding invitations were on our pin-up board, and I thought I should get rid of them, and I took them off, and my flatmate's invite was first, and when I took it off, I saw my invite, and I did not have a +1. I was the arsehole. Probably not the first time, but, you know, I just don't need to remember that. Second worst memory dream I've had, this one goes all the way back to grade 5, right? I went to Croydon Primary School here. I had completely forgotten this, and in this memory dream, I remembered in grade 5, I corrected Ross Murphy when we were talking about sketches, and he used the term skit. I said, no, mate, it's sketch. And I had forgotten that, and I woke up and I had to spend the next 6 weeks suppressing the urge to get in touch with Ross Murphy. I did. I wanted to find him and go, g'day, Ross, how's it going, mate? You probably don't remember me, but we were in grade 5 together with Mrs. Southwell. Anyway, you used the term skit, and this is quite funny because I've been in comedy for 30 years now. So anyway, you were correct, and I just wanted to apologise. And there's no point doing that because you know the response would have been, "Who the fuck are you?" And, the worst one, though, was, and I had suppressed this, and I had forgotten about this, and I felt better for it. And this happened to me in Adelaide at the turn of the century. What a hell of a sentence, at the turn of the century, right? So I was out with a friend, and we were having a discussion, and he was telling me something that was actually quite serious, and he was really pouring his heart out about some stuff that had been going on in his life. But the problem was, I was sitting opposite him, and the whole time he was talking, I could feel a snot in my nose. And when I'd breathe down, it would go and when I'd breathe up, it would go. Now, it's in your nose, it can't be that big, right? But when it's in your nose, it feels like the size of a fucking pumpkin, right? And I'm desperately trying to concentrate on what he's saying because it's really serious, but all I can feel is right? So, and you know, he's telling me something serious, so I can't say, "Excuse me, I need to go to the toilet to blow my nose." So I just focused on him all the way through what he was telling me. Then, in the context of what he was telling me, out of nowhere, he said something that was really quite funny. And I wasn't expecting it, because it was a really serious conversation. So he's dropped a really funny joke, and I've gone like that, and the snot has gone up my nose, back down my throat, tickled my epiglottis, and I've gone and I watched it fly out of my mouth going, "No." Watching it fly across the table going, "No." And I watched it land firmly on his cheek. And you know what he did? Kept talking, put his hand in his pocket, pulled out a hanky, wiped it off, and continued as if nothing happened. And that's fucking worse, isn't it? Because at least if he'd said something, I could say, "I'm so sorry for nearly taking your eye out with Boogie," but he didn't say anything, so I didn't feel I could say anything. We just kept talking and we ignored it, right? Anyway, I had suppressed that, I had stopped thinking about that, and I was much happier. And then one day, I woke up going, "Oh God, I can't believe I did that," right? So, like any normal comedian, I thought, I've got to share this story with strangers, right? So I started telling that story at the Comedy Store, right? So one night I tell it at the Sydney Comedy Store, and the story goes really well, and then I walk off stage, and then I walk into the bar area, and who's waiting for me at the bar but my mate? And I had not seen him in over a decade. I didn't even know he was living in Sydney now. So I've walked in and gone, "Hey!" He's gone, "Hey!" I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I saw you advertised. I thought I'd surprise you." I said, "This is a surprise. Did you enjoy the show?" He said, "I loved the show." I said, "Is there anything you want to talk about?" And he said, "No." We still haven't talked about it. Anyway, the world is crazy. Everybody's crazy, aren't they? We're all crazy. You're crazy, I'm crazy. And if you're sitting there going, "I'm not crazy," you've got to get the hot dog out of your arsehole. You're the craziest person here, right? But it makes sense, right? It makes sense that we're all on edge, and it makes sense that everyone's just a little bit mental because it has been a full-on 9 years. It's been full on, right? And it's easy to forget how full on it's been, right? So we're recording this on January 10th. January 10th, 2016. This is where it all kicks off. David Bowie died 9 years ago on this day. And then he dies, and then Alan Rickman dies, and George Michael dies, and Prince dies, and Carrie Fisher dies. It's like, fuck, where are all the good people going? It's like they knew something was coming up, and they thought, fuck, we're out of here, right? Then, at the end of 2016, Trump gets in. But thank God that's in the past, and we don't have to worry about it. That's good. That's passed. Then after that, Australia was on fire. We forget about that, don't we? Australia was on fire. The sky was orange. There was smoke in the air. You turn on the TV. There's a flambe emu, a barbecue goanna that's confronting shit, right? Then at the start of after that, we have the coup, right? We have the coup of people wanting Trump to stay in, right? And they get all these Dungeons and Dragons cosplayers to try and take over the states, right? And it's scary shit, but it doesn't happen. And the good thing is we don't have to worry about that again, right? Then COVID kicks in, and we don't need to litigate that. We all experienced it. It was full on. Everyone here in Adelaide, I know it was awful 45 minutes, but I know we feel your pain. We get it. Anyway, we endured that, and then after COVID, it was the floods. The floods were awful. The floods were confronting. And then war kicked off in Europe. Russia invaded the Ukraine, and it was good, because I had not had that fear of nuclear war for so long. And it was good. It was good to get back to the 80s, you know? So that kicked off, and we thought, fuck, how scary is that? And then the Middle East looked at that and went, you know what, hold my beer. And then they took it to the next fucking level. And then when you thought shit couldn't get worse, Trump got back in. Like, what the fuck? What is happening? We're allowed to be freaked out. We're allowed to be on edge, because it is scary shit out there. The only people that are happy are right-wing Christian evangelists. They are the only people happy, because they're watching this shit going, fire, floods, war, pestilence, here comes baby Jesus, right? Can we get a towel for that sign? It was only mine, but still. But, you know, there's just crazy stuff going on all the time. Like there's so much stuff happening at any given second. And it's hard to keep up, because you read something and go, oh, I've got to talk about that on stage. And then the next day you read something, I'll talk about that. And then you've forgotten the other thing, right? So many strange, full-on things. My favourites were these. One was the rapper Gnu, a 24-year-old rapper in Chicago, got gunned down. Terrible story. In his prime, right? The weird part of the story is that his friends went down to the morgue, got his body, took him to his favourite club, and then charged people to party with Gnu one last time. Like, what is going on there, right? Like, what is happening? Like, you know what's fascinating about that is there has to be a moment where someone comes up with the idea. That's the bit I'm obsessed with. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, there's got to be a moment where they're in the room and everyone's crying, like, no, Gnu. Oh, man, cut down in his prime. Fuck! Gnu! God damn. Oh, I'm so sad. I don't want to think about it anymore. Just put on the TV. I don't care. Let's put on anything. Weekend at Bernie's. I haven't seen this in ages. Suddenly, Gnu's down at the club, and people paid to go. That freaks me out. Who's sitting at home going, I want to go and watch my favourite rapper decompose? Like, that's a strange thing. By the way, if I drop dead tonight, do not bring my body here. Do not. Do not. If I drop dead in the gutter where I am meant to be, you fucking leave me there, right? Because I know that you'd bring me here and some arsehole would come and watch me and give me a bad review tomorrow, you know? Oh, I saw Hammo last night. What was he like? A little bit stiff. So there was that. This was one of my favourites. A woman got caught in America for killing her husband. A terrible story. Probably a true crime podcast at some point. But the interesting thing about it is how she got caught. And the way she got caught is she self-published a novel about how she would kill her husband. Like, that's crazy. Like, just hold on. Like, you self-publish. You don't need to do it. And I know something about self-publishing, and self-publishers get very few readers, right? So that must have been an up and down day for her, right? Because she would have logged in and gone, oh my God, someone's read my book. This is fantastic. I wonder who it is. Constable Gary, get fucked. Then there was the Power Slap League. Have you seen that? The Power Slap League? It's people just slapping each other until they go down. This is a true league. Like, we're worried about concussions, and there's a Power Slap League where they just hit each other as hard as possible and they drop. And you know, if, like, we've gone from boxing to UFC to Power Slap, and soon it's going to be the Knife League. You know it's going to go hard. And there should be no league where it got its start in the car park at Lenny's. Do you know what I mean? For those of you from interstate, Lenny's was a very classy establishment in the 90s where you could see scrag fights on a regular basis and prominent Adelaide Crows full forwards having a wee off the bar. And I will not say his name because we are filming this. But if you want to find me after, I will tell you it was Tony Modra. Oh, man. So as a comedian, when things happen to you, you write notes, you have little cutouts, I have folders full of stuff. And then over the years, like my folder was like this thick, and it was to go through stuff was quite full on. You go, hey, well, I could do this, I could talk about this. And I was getting this show prepared, and I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? So what I ended up doing is I've decided I'm just going to tell you about 1 month, and I'm going to tell you about the month of July, and this all happened in 1 month to me, right? So on the 1st of July, I flew back to Adelaide to go to my uncle's 85th birthday. He lives in Victor Harbour. I had to fly into Adelaide. I had to go to the Adelaide train station. I had to catch the train to Seaford, and I had to catch the one bus that would get me there in time for lunch. So everything was on time, and I get to the Seaford Exchange. I'm waiting for the bus. The bus turns up. Very lovely man driving the bus. I go to walk on and use my Adelaide card, and I'm trying to look where to tap, and he says, sorry, mate, we don't accept that. I went, cool, no worries. I get out my credit card. I try to tap. I don't know where to tap. He says, sorry, mate, we don't accept that. I said, oh, do I have to buy a ticket? And he went, yes, mate. I said, well, how do I pay for a ticket? He says, you pay with cash. And I looked at him and went, what's cash? I haven't seen cash in years. Like, what's he talking about? Tango in cash? Pat cash? Cash converters? Like, what the fuck, right? So I'm like, is there an ATM around here? And he says, no, mate, there's no ATM around here. So I'm like, well, what do I do? And he says, okay, and he gets a little notepad and he says, you've got to call Denise. And when you call Denise, this is true, you've got to call Denise and you can give the credit card details to Denise. And I'm like, oh, fuck, all right. So I'm there, I'm ringing, it's ringing. And then on the other end, I hear, hello, it's Denise. It went straight to Denise, right? Love it. Went straight to Denise. I'm like, hey, Denise, sorry, I'm at the Seaford Exchange. I've got to get to Victor Harbour for my uncle's 85th birthday, and I don't have any cash. And can I buy a ticket? And she said, this happens all the time. And I'm like, well, get a fucking ATM here, right? That happens all the time. Let's cover this shit up. Anyway, so I said, no worries, Denise. Very lovely lady. So I have to give my credit card details. It takes ages, right? And I look, and on the bus is heaps of old people, and all of them are looking at me as if to say, what the fuck? We don't have long. Like, what the fuck are you doing, right? And I'm like, I know, I understand. Like, I've got to get to my uncle's 85th. Anyway, so this takes about 11 minutes, right? Because Denise is a little bit slow, right? But eventually I get to pay for my ticket, which was about $11. Anyway, so then I feel really bad. So I say to the driver, oh, I am so sorry about this. I feel really bad. I've got to be honest, where I live in Sydney, I just don't use cash. And he looked at me and said, well, you're in the real world now. That's great, because where I live in Narnia, pay for everything with Turkish delight, you know. When I flew into Adelaide, I even did the exchange. I brought my Turkish delight, I got 9 bits of Hagues, and I got some fruit shots, and I thought that would have covered me, right? So that was day one. A couple of days later, it was really interesting because, so this will sound a little bit weird, but I've started praying. I've started praying because I've kind of become a little bit spiritual. This kind of came out of the back of lockdown, and I don't prescribe to a religion, but I have a sense of God and the grace that comes from God, and it's good because it brings a calmness to you. I pray most mornings to start the day, and I pray sometimes at night, and it's been really calming, and it's really relaxed me, and it's been a very good thing to introduce to my life. And where this started was, so I was in Adelaide, I came back, and you might not know this, but I started off as being the atheist godfather to a little boy and his sister, right? And these kids are great, lovely kids. But the dad called me and said, hey, the little fella, he's just going through a bit of a stage. And I said, oh, what's the stage that he's going through? It's just, it's just at that stage where they throw tantrums. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, who gives a shit? Like, that's what kids do, like that's them learning boundaries and everything, right? So anyway, so I went over, great day. We had a wonderful day. And at the end of the day, we had this big platter, and there was fruit, and there were crackers, and there were cheese, and the little fella had a cheese and cracker on his plate. And, we're talking, we're laughing, and then eventually, as mums do, They've got to tidy up as they go along. Like, it's hard work for mums, right? So the mum, while talking, has leant down, picked up the cracker and the cheese and eaten it, because no one's going to eat it. It's been there for like 45 minutes. And the little fella sees it and shit kicks off, right? And he's angry, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm watching the beginnings of the tantrum, and I'm like, oh, here it is. This is what they were talking about, right? So I'm watching this occur, and it starts, and then it kind of builds, and then it builds a little bit more, and then it like hits a level that I'm like, whew, this is full on. And then it goes higher, and it goes higher, and it goes for a long time. And the parents are trying to calm him down. They say, oh, they get 3 crackers with cheese on it, and they go, here's 3 crackers and cheese that you can have. He doesn't give a shit. He wants the one that his mum has eaten, right? So he just kicks off, and he is screaming, and his eyes are bulging, and his head's spinning around, and I'm like going, fuck, we got to get an exorcist. Like, what the fuck is happening here, right? And this goes on for an hour. Now, I kind of respect that, because that's a lot of energy, but it kicks off for an hour, right? And I'm gobsmacked. And the mum eventually picks him up and takes him into his bedroom. And I look at my mate and I said, I am so sorry, because you told me he's been throwing tantrums, and I believed you. But I underestimated what you said. I didn't realise it was up here. I thought it was down there. And my mate went, oh, yeah, it's full on. I said, how long's this been going on? He said, 6 months. I was like, 6 months? Like, fuck. I would have moved out. I would have been fucking gone, right? Anyway, good on them. That's why they're parents, and that's why I'm not, right? So anyway, eventually the mum comes out and says, hey, the little fella's calmed down and he'd like to come out and apologise. It's like, whew, that's great. It's been like an hour and a half, right? So this is great, right? And then my mate and I looked down at the table at exactly the same time, and we noticed the 3 cheese and crackers are gone, and there's the sister with a shit-eating grin on her face, and she's holding him in her fist. She's got cracker on her eye. She's got cheese on her mouth, as if to say, look what I did. And my mate and I have enough time to look down, look at each other and go, oh, no. And the little fella comes out, sees it, and it kicks off again for another hour, right? Amazing, right? So ever since that moment, I pray to God every day and night that my friends don't die before he turns 18. Because I am not built for this shit. Anytime they're going on a holiday, I'll say, I'll pay for another flight. You go on one flight, you go on the other flight. Never leave the house, never get sunburned. Just stay at home, mate. Just stay at home. So that was a few days into July. So a couple of days after that, I caught up with a friend who I had not seen for a long time. I had missed her 40th birthday, and I was going to make it up to her. So we catch up, little hug, little kiss on each cheek, and we sit down, and we're sitting there for a second, and she sneezes. And I'm like, oh, do you have a cold? And she's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. It's like, you know, COVID's still around. Do you have COVID? She said, no, COVID's over. I said, no. I know we don't like to talk about it, but it's still around. She said, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm like, if you had a cold, like, I missed your 40th. I'll see you again. We could have done this another time. And she said, oh, stop being a pussy. Stop being a pussy. You are being a pussy. Anyway, I ended up getting COVID, right? Because she had COVID, and I was fine because I've had my vaccinations. But she's now dead. To me. She's dead to me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What a bad time to take a swallow. I'm so sorry. Oh, bad timing. So I stay in bed for a week. When I come out of bed, I ended up breaking up with a friend. He doesn't know it yet, but one day he'll see this routine and he'll know, right? So I was sitting there with a friend, and we were waiting for another mate of ours to come up, and my mate and I, we were laughing about things. Because I keep, because I love this little game, right? I've started this little game, right? And this little game is, I will say a philosopher's name, and then I will make up a quote just to see if I can get away with it. Because it's funny, right? Because, you can say, as Confucius once said, is not the insane man who knows he's insane, the sanest man of all. And people go, wow, that's so amazing. I was like, no, I made it up. Like, it's a funny game. Like, do you know what I mean? I do it all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's it's like, as Friedrich Nietzsche once said, a dog with 2 dicks will never pay his rent on time. People go, thus spake Zarathustra? You go, sure, why not, As Archimedes once said, if it goes beyond the middle knuckle, it's probably more than friendship. And you go, oh yeah, Archimedes, all about the right angle. That's good, right? So my friend and I were laughing about this, and then my friend went off, and I was waiting for our other friend to turn up, and I'm on my phone, and I ended up watching a YouTube clip of a duck running a marathon, and it was fucking great. It's true. It's all these people running a marathon, and there's a duck with it, and the duck is great. He's running along, having a good time, and people are giving him little cups of water. He's drinking the water. It's like, oh, nice one, duck, and he's having a good time, and everyone's making room for him, and I'm laughing at it. It just makes you feel good about a lot of shit in your life, right? And then my second mate turns up, and he says, hey, I could see you laughing at something all the way over there. What are you laughing at? I said, I am watching a duck run a marathon. And how good is that? And he takes it and he looks and he goes, well, it's not really a marathon, is it? It's more like a fun run. And as soon as he said that, I was like, we're fucked. You're done. We're never going to be friends again. Never going to be friends again. If you're going to be pedantic about this fucking video, you can go fuck yourself. Do you know what I mean? As Bob Dylan once said, if you can't enjoy a feathered runner, you can get ducked, right? Furious. So I broke up with him, and then a couple of days later after that, I got a really angry email. I received a really angry email from a person, and they were so angry. And it was, this person just wrote like, I've been following you since 1998, and you've let me down. You've let me down, and I thought you were better than this. And I'm like, you feel bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just a comedian. You just want to make people feel good. You just want to tell some jokes. Do you know what I mean? And you feel honestly bad if you've really offended someone. Like unless you mean to, but do you know what I mean? But inadvertently. Anyway, so I'm reading, and like, she's just banging on for a long time. And then this is what she got angry about. She had listened to a news podcast that I had been on 6 years ago. Why is she listening to a news podcast from 6 years ago? Who gives a shit? It was 6 years ago. Anyway, she was listening to a news podcast from 6 years ago, and someone had told the story about they'd found a body in Pompeii, and the body of it looked like the guy had died having a wank. That's what it looked like, right? And that's what everyone was reporting. And they said, what do you think happened? And I said, well, maybe he hadn't had a wank for a while and he saw Mount Vesuvius and he thought, fuck, I can take this, right? That's all I said. And this person was angry at me. That person died in pain. That person died in pain, and this is over 2,000 years ago. You can't say too soon. Like, it's fucking 2,000 years ago. Also, what a good way to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you know you're going to die, it's like, fuck, I'm going to go happy. So that went down. Then, so I have to tell you something. It's going to sound full on, but you have to trust me because it's going to end in a happy place. But it's going to be confronting to begin with, right? So what happened was I had a friend call me and say that a mutual friend of ours was in a bad place and they were spiralling. And they'd been suicidal in the past, and we had to do something about it. And what had happened was this person's wife had called my mate and said, can you go over and check on him? So my mate had called me and said, hey, can you help me? I said, absolutely, let's do it. So we go and get the key from the wife, and then we go over to the apartment, and we're knocking on the door, no response. Knocking a little bit longer, no response. So I put the key in the door, and I can't turn it. Now, you know, if you put the key in the other side, it means you can't turn the key on this side, right? And it's a big, thick door with glass partitions, and we're like, fuck, okay. So we go around the back, but there's no back area, and the windows are up too high. We can't get to them, right? So I go down into the garden out the front, and I pick up a brick. And I figure if I can smash one of these glass partitions, I can put my hand in, unlock it, open the door, and we can get in. And I say to my mate, hey, have you ever seen a dead body before? And he says, no. I said, okay, well, we need to make sure that we don't go into shock. Like, if we go into shock, we might do the wrong thing by our friend. So we're going to have to hold it and really act. And he says, okay. So I get the brick, and I'm lining it up to smash this little glass partition. And as I've got the brick here, my friend leans in behind me and says, dude, I think we're at the wrong house. I said, are you serious? He said, yes, I think we're at the wrong house. I said, are you sure? He said, I've only been here once before and I've just realised I think we're at the wrong house. I said, okay. So I put the brick back in the front yard. We go next door, we knock on the door, it opens immediately, and I turn around to my friend and go, fuck, well, that was easy, wasn't it, right? So that night, we stay with our friend, we talk him off the ledge, you know, we try to calm him down, but at some point in the morning, both of us fall asleep, and the friend in a bad place escapes, right? And he runs off, and we don't know where he is. And we're looking for him for ages. We're looking around the parklands. I'm calling Lifeline because I am not equipped to deal with this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm equipped to tell you about stories about trying to get to Victor Harbour. This is not a skill set here, right? So we're trying to work out what to do. What we do is we go back, we get on his iPad and we follow his phone. And we follow his phone for 3 hours. He goes to Katoomba. He's walking towards the Three Sisters Lookout. I call the police go and apprehend him. And they stopped him and they calmed him down, and he's in a good place now, and it's a good story. But my mate and I, we're kind of on edge, do you know what I mean? So I kind of calm my friend down, and then I go home and I live by myself, and you're trying to work out how can I find something positive out of this? How can I kind of find an equilibrium with this? And I come to the realisation that for a moment, like, I had some real fucking Jason Bourne skills, do you know what I mean? Like, real Jason Bourne skills. I was like, fuck, maybe I could join ASIO. How good would that be? I could be a spy during the day and a comedian by night. And then I thought, oh, that would be such a good movie, wouldn't it? That would be so good. Imagine seeing the new Justin Bourne movie. It's like he makes people laugh at night so he can save the day. Justin Bourne and the Bourne hilarity. Anyway. With 4 days left in July, my mate Adam and I, we catch up with a doctor we know. And this doctor is a really funny guy, and he tells us stories we shouldn't hear, and they're always great. And I have to point out, he never gives any names, but he tells us the stories. And he told us this story this day. We're sitting there, minding our own business, and then he comes up and he says, I've got a great story for you. And we're like, what's the story? So he had just removed a Kermit the Frog figurine from a man's arsehole, right? Great. Already I'm into this story, right? So what had happened was this figurine had got stuck in this man's arsehole, right? But what's great is when they're saying, hey man, how did this happen? The guy says, oh yeah, no, I've got heaps of figurines, and I got out of the shower and I was drying myself and I tripped and fell backwards and I sat down on it and it just slipped in. Already great, right? Now, what I haven't told you is my mate Adam is a professional gay, a very funny gay, and he's looked at me and he said, you know what, him saying it just slipped in, I've had things up there that I've wanted, and I can tell you it never just slips in, right? So then for the rest of the day, we just reenacted shit slipping in. And it's fun. It's a fun game. It's a really fun game. You just say, hey, do you want to go and get a coffee? Like, I mean, I'm going to go and catch the bus. Anyway, if you play the game, it's a fun game, but just stretch, because I've hurt my back 3 times. So then this happens on the final day of July. This is all July. This is the final day of July, right? So I went home, and it was at that point where, you know, you just have moments where you do spring cleaning, right? You got to get shit out of your house. And I was getting stuff, and I was ripping stuff out, and I found a suitcase, a little suitcase that I'd had since I was a kid. And it had heaps of stuff down. I was pulling stuff out, and I don't need this, I'll keep that. And then I could hear something rattling around it, and I was, oh, what's that? So I'm shaking it, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't get to it. So I'm shaking, and then suddenly a chess piece, a rook, rolls out. And as soon as I see that rook, I flash back to grade 4. Grade 4 at Croydon Primary School, when my best friend was Ben Donathorn. And Ben and I had gotten books about spying, and they taught you how to be a spy. And it was things like paint in the eyebrows and put them on your eyebrows, or ring people and put a comb in front of your mouth. It's like, oh, I'm someone different. Like, you know, it was great, right? But our favourite thing was writing little messages on bits of paper and hiding them in bricks. So you'd be walking along, you'd find the message, and at first they were just funny. Then we were kind of revealing things to each other. You'd open it up and go, oh, Ben loves Kathy Vitino. And then, because you're kids, you start writing jokes, and then you start writing rude jokes, and then the rude jokes keep improving, right? Or not improving, like raising the stakes, right? So anyway, one day I wrote the most heinous thing I could think of at that age, the most heinous thing. And I had written it on a little bit of paper and I had folded it up and I'd put it in this rook and I thought I'd left it at Ben's house. So at the time, I'm like, hey, did you find anything? He's like, no, I haven't found anything. Oh, I'll keep looking. Then a couple of days later, I'm like, hey, have you seen anything? He's like, no, I haven't seen anything. I was like, are you sure you haven't seen anything? He's like, oh, no, I haven't seen anything. And then I'm like, fuck, I've written a message that's full on. He's like, oh, shit. Because what you don't understand is back then, we were scared of our parents. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were really scared. Like, we were terrified of our parents. Now they can fucking kick off for 2 hours and it's fine, right? They get more cheese and crackers. But back then, I need to point out, my mum never hit me. She never hit me, right? She murdered me 5 times with a look, but she never hit me. That's true. She did. She murdered me. I'd be naughty, she'd look at me, and my spirit would leave my body, and it would go down to the netherworld. It would meet creatures that couldn't exist, and it would learn forbidden knowledge, and then the spirit would return to the body, and I'd be a better boy, right? So we were panicking. We went through his bedroom, we went through my bedroom, we looked everywhere for it for weeks. Going home, scared that his mum's found it, that my mum's found it, and then eventually you just forget about it. You just forget about it, and then Ben moved schools, and I hadn't thought about it until this moment when it has rolled out onto the floor. And I'm looking at it. Now, the thing is, I can't remember the message inside. And I'm starting to think, oh, fuck, like, how bad is it? Like, how bad is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be really bad. Like, it was the most heinous thing I could think at that age, and I was really panicking. And I was like, oh, I hope it's not in there. And I looked up, and there it was, all crunched up, stuck in there. I'm like, oh, fuck, maybe I should just leave it. Just leave it. I don't need to read it, but I was curious. I had to read it, right? And then I'm like, oh, my God, if I'm going to read this and I'm going to have to cancel Little Juzzy? Like, do I have to cancel Little Juzzy? You don't understand. Comedy's about discovering boundaries. He was just discovering boundaries, people. But I'm like, fuck. Anyway, so I got tweezers and I pulled it out and I unraveled it and I unfolded it and you could still read it and it was in really faint ink. And this is the most heinous thing I could think in grade 4. I had written, you've got ears like dick bums. It's like dick bums. How cute's Little Juzzy? Bless his little socks. Fucking hell, he'd be horrified if he saw me now. I was just pretending to wank to put out Mount Vesuvius. Anyway, that was my July. All right, we should finish up. So I'll finish with one last story. And you know, the thing is that, you know, life is really tough and there's a lot of challenges throughout our lives, and what you have to do is try and maintain an equilibrium where you can, right? And sometimes you get challenged in ways that you're not expecting, right? So this happened to me, where one day I was flicking through Amazon, which I feel bad about because I don't like Amazon and fuck Jeff Bezos, but fuck it, I was flicking through Amazon and I saw a rare David Bowie record that I wanted, and it's $130, and I don't have kids, so I can afford it. So I thought, I'll get it, right? So I ordered it, they send me an email saying it's on its way in a week, and then I get an email saying it's going to turn up in 4 days, and then I get an email saying it's turning up tomorrow, which is great, because I could work from home. So I'm working from home, I don't hear the buzzer go, and then I get an email saying it's been delivered. I went, great, they obviously just didn't buzz me. So I go downstairs, and it's not there. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they've sent the email a little bit too soon. So I go back up, go back down a little bit later on, it hasn't arrived. So now I have to get in touch with Amazon. They fucking make it difficult, don't they? Like, you can't ring anyone, you can't talk to anyone human, and you have to try and find a way to contact them. So it takes you ages, and then finally there's a little place that you can email, right? And it's a little pop-up message thing. So I write and I say, hello, and this little thing pops up and it's a person saying, hello. I said, how are you today? They said, good, how are you today? I said, I'm very good. They said, what's your problem? I said, well, I ordered this record from you you, and I was told that it had been delivered, but it hasn't arrived. And they said, oh, that's really annoying. I said, yeah, it is. And they said, do you have the reference number there? I said, I do. So I copied and pasted it and put it there. They went, oh, great. I'll just look that up for you. Whereabouts are you at the moment? I said, I'm in Sydney. They went, oh, Sydney's beautiful. I said, yeah, it is. They said, what do you do for a job? I said, I'm a stand-up comedian. They said, that must be fun. I went, yeah, it is. Anyway, we keep going, and then she said, oh, look, I found it, and it's at the post office. And it's the post office that I go to all the time. So I go to the post office the next day, and it's not there. And now I have to get back in touch with Amazon, but you don't get the person you were talking to before. You get a different person. So I have to go back and go through it all again. So I go back, hello, how are you today? I'm well, thanks, how are you? I'm very well, thank you. How can I help you? Well, I had ordered this record from you. I had been told that it had been delivered. It hadn't been delivered. I got in touch with one of you earlier, and they said it was at the post office, but I went to that post office and it wasn't there. Oh God, that's annoying. I said, yeah, it is. They said, do you have the reference number? I said, I do. Copy and pasted it, and I put it there. So I'll just look this up for you. And they said, where are you at the moment? I said, I'm in Sydney. So, I'd love to go to Sydney. It's so beautiful, isn't it? I went, yeah, it is. I said, what do you do for a job? I said, I'm a stand-up comedian. I said, that must be fun. I went, yeah. So anyway, she said, oh, I found it. And it's at the other post office. So where I live in Surrey Hills, there's a post office there. That's the one I normally go to. But sometimes it's at that one on Crowd Street. I went, great. So the next day, I go to that post office and it's not there. So now I have to go through this again. Hello, how are you? I'm well, thanks. How are you? I'm fantastic, excellent. Hey, how can I help you? Well, I had this thing that I'd ordered and I'd asked you to send it to me, and then you said it had been delivered, but it hadn't been delivered, and I got sent to one post office, but that was incorrect, and I went to another post office, and that was incorrect. And they wrote, oh, that must be annoying. And I went, yeah, it is. They said, do you have the reference number? Copy, paste, send it through. Where are you? Sydney. It's beautiful. Yes, it is. Stand-up comedian. Is it a fun job? Yeah. Okay, I found it. It's at this post office. And that's weird because it's at a post office like 2 suburbs away. That's a long way to go. Nothing's ever been sent that before. And I said, are you sure? And they went, yeah. So, okay, so I go to that post office the next day and it's the end of the story. But it's not, because it's not there. So now I have to get back in touch with them. Hello, how are you? I'm well, thanks, how are you? Yeah, that's good. How can I help you? You sent me to 3 different post offices. Oh, that must be annoying. Fuck yes. Can you give me the reference number? Here it is. Sydney, I know. Comedy, yes. Okay, well, it's at this address. And I'm like, and I look up the address and it's across the road at the 7-Eleven. I'm like, are you sure that this is at, it's a 7-Eleven? And she's like, oh, that's weird, but yeah, that's the address that it's at. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go downstairs, I go over to the 7-Eleven, and I say to the guy working there, I said, do you have packages? And he went, yeah. I said, really? Why are you getting packages? He said, I don't know. I said, where are the packages? And he says, there. And there's all these fucking boxes, right? It's like a wall of Tetris. So we're fucking pulling out boxes, trying to find it. Anyway, it's not there. So I have to go back. Hello, how you doing? Yep, I'm good. You've sent me to 4 different fucking post offices and a 7-Eleven and it's not there, blah, 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 blah. Sydney, yep, great. Stand up comedy. Anyway, so this is fantastic. Where do you think it is? Oh, it's at this address. Now, the address that they told me about was a supermarket complex that was getting knocked down to be turned into flats. Have you ever heard that before? And so I had to go there, but there's nothing there, right? And I'm like, what's happening here, right? So I go into the complex and all that's open is a newsagent right at the back. Like, it is dingy. I'm like, I'm going to get fucking knifed. Like, it's scary shit, right? So I go into the newsagent, it's dark, it's danky, there's hardly anything there. And I walk up to the counter, and the guy behind the counter is watching a video on his phone, right? And he's got blonde hair, blonde eyebrows, blonde eyelashes, a white shirt, tan pants, a black belt. And it's like, how can you know all of that? Well, here's the thing. You know when you go to the counter and someone is doing something different, right? Or doing just something that they're busy with, what they do is they go, oh, hello, how are you today? And you go, great. But I've walked up and I've just stood there and he's just kept watching his video. And I'm standing there going, what is going on? And he watched ages, right? And this is what happens. He looks and he goes, what? Oh, fuck me. How I am still here is beyond me. Do you know what I mean? Like, this vein nearly popped. And I'm like, and I'm trying to fucking hold my shit together, right? And I said, hey man, I'm here to pick up a package. He said, why would there be a package here? And I'm like, I don't know. And he said, well, there's no packages here except for those guys. I said, can you go and have a fucking look? And I'm looking at this motherfucker and I'm thinking, I'd love to grab you by your fucking albino eyebrows and drag you into the sun so I can watch you burst into flames, right? The only way he could have made me angry is if he'd been watching that duck marathon and said it was a fun run, right? It's the only way, right? Anyway, it wasn't there. So, by this stage, I've had enough. I love David Bowie, but I don't want this record anymore. So now I have to go back and I've got someone new. So I'm like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, good, thank you. Hey, how can I help you? Look, you've sent me to all these different post offices, a 7-Eleven and a newsagent run by Greg Norman's son, and I have fucking had enough, and I don't want this. And they said, oh, that's really sad, isn't it? And I said, yes, it's really sad. They said, can you send me the reference number? Here it is. They said, oh, that's a really rare album. I said, I know, I don't want it anymore. And they're like, oh, okay, well, what we can do is we can refund your money, or we can give you some Amazon vouchers. It's like, why the fuck would I want to go through this again, right? The point of getting the fucking money back is so I don't need to deal with this, right? I said, no, I'll take the money, thank you. I will take the money. And they say, no worries. It will take 3 to 5 business days. 3 to 5 business days. This is fucking Jeff Bezos. He is a billionaire. It's going to take all you need to do is go, it's in, right? Like when I have a bill, I pay it immediately. And this motherfucker's going to make me wait 3 to 5 business days. Now, here's the problem. It's Easter, and then after Easter, it's the Anzac long weekend. So that 3 to 5 business days takes nearly 2 weeks, right? 2 fucking weeks, right? And so it finally gets to a Thursday, I go in, I check my account, and the money is there, and that's the end of the story, except for the bit the next day when the record turned up. And my mum brought me up to be an honest person, but I thought, fuck it, I've worked for that. And as Socrates once said, it may have been a little victory, but it was nonetheless a victory. Thank you very much. Thank you.